This morning, your phone didn't buzz at kickoff. The group chat is quiet. Somebody sent one message about the final last night, and then nothing. You opened your calendar, and the next few weeks are just Tuesday. Then another Tuesday. And you're not sad about the result. You might not even care that much who won. But you stood in front of the open fridge for 30 seconds this morning, and you honestly could not tell what you were looking for. I did the same thing. I closed it, walked away, came back 2 minutes later. Still nothing in there. Spain beat Argentina 1-0 in extra time at MetLife Stadium on Sunday the 19th. Ferran Torres, 106th minute. And then the whistle went, and a whole month ended in about 4 seconds. The internet already has a name for how today feels. People are calling it World Cup withdrawal. It was trending before the final had even kicked off. People were grieving a summer they were still living in. I want to say one thing about that word. Withdrawal is a drug word. It turns what you're feeling into a symptom, something to get over, something slightly embarrassing about you. And I went looking because I wanted to know who decided that. The articles using it aren't quoting psychologists. There's no study behind it. Nobody has diagnosed you. It was just the nearest word people had lying around. So let me offer you a different one. Not because your feeling is wrong. It isn't wrong. It's completely proportionate. Something real did end, and you're allowed to feel that for more than one morning. But I don't think you're missing football. Here's what I think actually happened. It took me a couple of days to see it, and once I saw it, I couldn't stop seeing it. For 1 month, that tournament quietly handed you 4 things. You didn't ask for them. You probably didn't notice you'd been given them. And on Sunday night, all 4 went back at once. The first one is a clock. For a month, you knew what time other people were doing something. 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You knew that somewhere out there, a few 100 million people were arranging their evening around the exact same thing you were arranging yours around. You could feel it in the street. You'd walk past a bar, and every head in the window turned at the same second. You'd hear a neighbor shout through a wall, and know precisely what had happened, without checking. That's not football. That's something much older than football. A sociologist named Emil Durkheim wrote about this back in 1912. He called it collective effervescence. His argument was that when a group of people focus on the same thing at the same moment, something happens that none of them can produce alone. For a while, you stop being only yourself. You're part of something with a bigger outline than you. And here's the thing about that in 2026, it's getting rare. Nielsen, the company that measures what America actually watches, reported that in May of 2025, streaming passed broadcast and cable combined for the first time ever, 44.8% of all television. Everything on demand, everything personalized. Everybody's feed a little different from everybody else's, which is mostly good. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that 3 channels and a test card was a better life. But it does mean the shared clock is basically gone. Live sport is one of the last things left that a lot of people still watch at the same time, on purpose, knowing the others are there too. So for 1 month, you had a clock again. You didn't lose it. It was taken down. Those are 2 different things, and we'll come back to that. The second thing you were handed was a reason to talk to strangers. You said something to the guy in the lift. You said something to the driver. You said something to the person at the next table who was looking at their phone the same way you were looking at yours. And you could do that without it being strange, because there was one topic you could safely assume the other person also cared about. That assumption is the entire trick. That's all an opener has ever been. Not confidence, not charisma, just a safe guess about what's already in the other person's head. On Sunday night, the safe guess expired. You didn't get worse at talking to people overnight. You just lost the one subject that came pre-approved. The third thing. For a month, you were allowed to care about something useless. Sit with that one, because I think it's bigger than it sounds. Nobody asked you what the point of it was. Nobody asked how it fit into your goals. You did not have to justify 2 hours on a Tuesday night watching people you will never meet run around on grass in a country you've never been to. Now, I'm not going to tell you that everything else in your week is fake, and this was the real thing. That's the sort of line that sounds deep at 1 in the morning and helps nobody at 9. I'll just say this. Most of the hours in your week have to earn their place. They're for work, or for maintenance, or for something you're trying to become. Very few hours get to simply exist. For 1 month, you had a lot of them, and nobody sent you an invoice. And the fourth thing, which I think is the biggest of the four, you had a story with an ending. There was a group stage. There were stakes that climbed. There were teams that went out and didn't come back. And on Sunday, at the 106th minute, there was an answer. Your actual life does not do that. Your job doesn't have a final. Your relationship doesn't have a final. The thing you've been quietly working on for 3 years does not blow a whistle and tell you where you finished. You just keep going, and you find out much later, or you never really find out at all. A story with a real ending is one of the most satisfying things a person can be handed, and almost nothing in an ordinary week hands you one. So, a shared clock, a reason to talk to strangers, permission to care about something useless, and a story with an ending. That's what ended on Sunday night. The football was the container. Those four were what was inside it. And if you barely watched, and you're wondering why any of this is your problem, stay with me for 1 second, because you already know this feeling from somewhere else. It's the Sunday after the wedding. It's the second day back from the trip. It's the week after the project finally shipped, when everyone stops messaging and you can't work out why you feel worse now than you did when it was hard. Same four things. Same going back. Now, this is the part where the Stoics arrive, and I want to do it carefully, because they usually get quoted badly. Epictetus was born into slavery in the Roman Empire. This was not a comfortable man telling other people to calm down. And in the Handbook, chapter 11, if you ever want to look it up, he writes this: "Never say about anything, I have lost it. Say instead, I have given it back." Now, the way that line usually travels around the internet is roughly, don't be sad, nothing was ever yours anyway, which is cold. And I think it's a misreading. If that's all it said, I wouldn't bring it up tonight. Because look at how the same chapter ends. He compares all of it to travelers at an inn. You get a room for the night. It was never your room. You take care of it well while it's yours, and then you hand the key back, because that was always the arrangement. And here's the part I actually care about. If you gave something back, that means you were holding it. You were in the room. You were there. The flatness you feel this morning is not evidence that you lost a month. It's evidence that you were genuinely present for one, that you let yourself be in it, without hedging, without watching it from slightly outside. The people who feel nothing today aren't stronger than you. Most of them just never went in. Okay, so that's a reframe, and I think it's worth something real. But a reframe on its own is a nice feeling on a Tuesday, and it's gone by Thursday. So here's the other half, and this is the part I'd actually like you to take. Those four things were never the tournament's property. It just happened to hand you all four at once, at enormous scale, for free. That's why it felt the way it felt. You cannot get them back at that scale. I'm not going to pretend that a book club is the World Cup. It isn't, and you'd know I was lying to you. But you can get all four of them small and repeatable beats enormous, and once every 4 years, because that's the actual variable here, not intensity, frequency. So, 4 things this week. The clock. Pick one thing, 2 or 3 people, and one fixed time. Wednesday at 9. Same show, same league, same anything. And here's the rule that makes it work. The time is fixed, and the thing itself is not that important. That's backwards from how we normally choose, and that's exactly why it works. What you're rebuilding is the clock, not the entertainment. The strangers. You need somewhere the safe guess exists again. Somewhere you can assume the other person cares about the same thing you do. A run club, a class that meets every week, the same cafe at the same hour on the same day, until the staff know your order. Not to make friends necessarily, just to get the assumption back. The useless thing. Put 1 hour in your calendar this week for something with no return on it whatsoever. And here's the important part. Do not prepare a reason. If you catch yourself justifying it, it's good for my creativity. It helps me recharge. It makes me better at my job. You've quietly turned it back into work. And the ending. Sign up for something with a finish date. An 8-week course. Season. A race with an entry fee you've already paid. Not because finishing it will change your life, because you need something in your calendar that eventually blows a whistle. That's it. 4 small things, and not one of them is impressive. I'll tell you what I expect to happen, based on doing this badly a few times myself. 3 of them won't stick. And a month from now, when nobody is talking about the tournament at all, one of them will quietly have become the thing you look forward to. It's usually the smallest one. It's almost never the one you thought. So here's what I'd leave you with tonight. That flat feeling this morning is not a hole where something used to be. It's a measurement. For 1 month, something was using more of you than an ordinary week uses. And now, in the quiet, you can feel the difference. That's all this actually is. You've just been shown the size of your own capacity, and it turns out it's bigger than your Tuesday. You're not empty. You're just back in a life that hasn't been asking enough of you. And that's a question, not a verdict. Because what asks next is genuinely up to you. Sleep well. I'll see you on the porch.